Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about how to recover from work burnout, and stick around to the end for a bonus piece on how to keep your energy levels high and stop work burnout in the future. With you watching this video, you may be asking yourself, do I have career burnout? Or if you are being extra hard on yourself, you may be even asking yourself, am I burnt out or lazy? I remember when I trained a client who had just moved to the area. She was a successful lawyer who had just started at a new firm. She wanted to get fitter and lose some weight after a few crazy months of working while also moving to a new city. As the months went on, I witnessed the glow and enthusiasm that comes with the excitement of a fresh new start change to be replaced with a tired, drawn out shell of herself. She would recall how work was manic, her sleep was poor, and she was tired all the time. I kept the exercise low in intensity so not to add to the physical stress, but she was on a one-way trip to burnout, and sure enough, a couple of months later, she went off work with work-related stress. Now, my client is not alone in experiencing career burnout. Last year, in 2020, there was a 24% increase in reporting of burnout symptoms. Google searches for the term signs of burnout have increased 41% since 2017, while global searches for occupational burnout have increased by a whopping 2,500% since 2017. In one survey by the Pulse's Gallup, they predicted that 2/3 of full-time workers are experiencing burnout at some point while at work. So if you are watching this and think you are experiencing burnout, you are not alone in thinking this. Well, stick around because I'm going to share what burnout is, what the signs, and more importantly, a 3-stage process to recover from work burnout. So it's important to recognize what we are talking about when we say burnout, and be able to tell the difference between burnout and stress, or even to stop you being so hard on yourself by continually asking whether this is burnout or you're just being lazy. To determine what burnout is, there's no better place to find out than the World Health Organization, who rather dramatically called workplace burnout an occupational phenomenon. So within the same category as water cooler gossiping, but more damaging to your health. They define burnout as a syndrome resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. They go further to say burnout is categorized by 3 dimensions: feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one's job or feelings of negativity or cynicism related to one's job, and reduced professional efficacy. It is important to point out a key piece of the wording within the definition, which is stress that has not been successfully managed. Stress can be useful, and as humans, we have been able to deal with stress from a hunter-gatherer time when we didn't know where our next food was going to come from, right through to deliberating whose set of parents we're going to spend Christmas with. This is about short-term, becoming prolonged stress that then spreads across your whole work performance like a virus within. And it can be subtle too. Winona State University conducted a burnout study where they came up with 5 common stages you would go through from a one-way ticket towards burnout. Stage 1 is the honeymoon stage. This is where you will come up against some stresses of the job, and how you deal with them can frame your whole future dealings with stress on the job. If it is with optimism and positivity, things will be looking good. Stage 2 is the balancing act stage. This is where you begin to realize some days are better than others when handling stress, and begin to experience some common features related to stress, such as work inefficiencies, fatigue, sleep disturbances, escapist activities like smoking, drinking, and eating calorie-laden processed food. Stage 3 is the chronic symptom stage, where you experience a heightened levels of symptoms experienced in stage 2. The physical symptoms intensify, while the anger and depression can set in. Stage 4, we are in crisis territory. You start obsessing about work frustrations, pessimism, and self-doubt thinking. Of course, this would be natural for all of us to face at some point, but this is more about experiencing it on a chronic, prolonged basis. Stage 5 is what they call enmeshment. This is where physical and mental symptoms are so ingrained into your daily life, you are more likely to be labeled as having a physical and or emotional problem than you are as having a burnout issue. So this is important to note because it may end up you getting treatment for the physical or emotional issue and even have time off work. But when you return, the conditions of what led you to burnout may still be present, prompting a reenactment of the stages. So it is clear, burnout happens over time and it is gradual. This means that you have time to avoid it, stop it, or recover from it without it ever getting to stage 3 to 5, where all the symptoms gravitate across all areas of your life. Now, we've looked at the signs and stages of burnout. Let's look at how to recover from work burnout and even begin to stop burnout today. A common approach in healthcare is known as the 3R approach to burnout, which is recognize, reverse, and resilience. Let's first look at recognize. In some ways, this requires you to be in a counterintuitive state that burnout frequently leads to. In an emerging burnout state, you could be anxious, fatigued, and critical about your job. It takes you stepping back and recognizing that this is a different state to what you're used to. How you do that requires you having periods of stepping back and recognizing the signs. The signs being low mood or motivation, regular thoughts of self-doubt, emerging job dissatisfaction, fatigue. The other importance is how you recognize those symptoms. The two common methods for spotting these are journaling, where you are daily or at least weekly writing down your thoughts. By getting your thoughts out of your brain and onto a page and verbalizing them, you can start to notice patterns you would have missed going through the motions of life. The journal I use, I will link in the comments section, or if you prefer a digital one, I like Day 1, which is free for the basic features, which is essentially what you need. This is a simple method that can really help you out. The other method is health trackers such as the Oura Ring or the Whoop Band. These subtle devices pack a punch in terms of what data they show relating to in the moment and patterns over time. 3 big ones they show are the respiratory rate, heart rate variability, and sleep tracking, which will all provide indicators about your levels of stress and readiness. You can find links to all of these in the comments box below. The next one is reverse. So you recognize that you are on a one-way trip to burnout and you've taken your foot off the accelerator, looking to reverse the process back into a stable level of physical and mental health. What do? Well, I want to recommend 2 things. So number 1 is some kind of mental calmness process. If it doesn't come naturally to you, you have to learn to calm your brain, thoughts, and subsequently your body down. This can take practice, and the most obvious way of doing it is some form of meditation or breath work. A popular meditation app is Headspace that you can just have on your phone, but equally you can just sit in a quiet room and focus on your breath, a word or phrase you say repeatedly, or just on something in your immediate environment. Aim to be able to do it for at least 5 minutes initially. Number 2 is walking in an area with greenery, either in your local park or in a forest, and do what they call in NLP called uptime, which is putting all your awareness on your external environment. See the different colors of the tree, hear the wind passing by, feel the pressure of the floor against your feet. Just be outside your head. And finally, 3 is resilience. This is about creating a system of coping mechanisms that increases your threshold for burnout and has you able to deal with situations without them building into anything more significant. If we go back to the 5 stages we talked about earlier, this would have you never getting beyond stage 2, and for most of the time being in stage 1, which is what we were after. If you are interested in creating that in your life, check out my Stressless program, where I detail my 3-pronged approach to creating a system of health in your life that keeps stress and ultimately burnout at bay. And before I go, a bonus, and this is about creating a new way of working and keeping your energy levels high and efficient. It's about keeping 2 things consistently in your mind. One is motivation comes from what Daniel Pink touches on in his book Drive, which is purpose, mastery, and autonomy. The other is new insights and creative problem solving comes not from the grind, but from when you allow your mind to wander. These come from those moments where you are walking casually through nature, or in the shower, or in a state of calm on your way to work. So to keep energy high, arrange your work if you can to satisfy purpose, mastery, and autonomy, while also giving yourself time for insight. That way you can maintain a high work performance while keeping burnout in check. So thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your comments on your best methods that you've used and are going to use more after this video to keep burnout in check. And be sure to see the link below and all the other links that I mentioned in the video relating to my program Stressless, and I'll see you in the next video.